Welcome to the Modern Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Giordani. Special guest, Kevin Pheley. He is an entrepreneur, even though he hates this word, which I think is funny because I agree. Has a staffing company, a lead generation company, and multiple other businesses that he invests in. This has been a long time coming because I was on his podcast, I think the middle of last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So welcome, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks, dude. Thanks for having me.
I know. It was, I feel like we were trying to connect like back and forth, trying to coordinate this for the last few months.
Yeah. Well, we're here, dude. I love the studio too. Super nice setup.
Yeah. It's cool. Well, welcome, man. I want to get into your story. I know you've been in the real estate space for a long time, entrepreneurial space, do a lot of different things, invest in a lot of different things. So how did you get into the industry? Like, where'd you start? Where'd you grow up? How did your journey start?
Yeah, so I moved around a lot. Growing up, I moved around. I mean, lived in Massachusetts, Alaska, Oregon, Wisconsin, Montana, California. I mean, we moved around a lot. So I think that kind of exposed me to a lot of different mindsets and ideologies,
Sure.
and seeing a lot of different types of groups of people and different cultures, you know. I think it's super important. And I got into sales in high school. My first, you can call it sales job, was at a kiosk in the mall. And
We talked about this.
yeah,
'cause I
so
worked at T-Mobile.
yeah, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I sold cell phone cases, and hair straighteners was the first one, but that was very brief. Cell phone cases, sunglasses, stuff like that. And but you learn a lot about people and a lot about rejection because you're selling to people that are walking by the mall trying to duck you. So yeah, I mean, I just kind of fell into that, and you know, eventually went into the restaurant space for a little bit and then was like, man, like I really need to go back into sales. So got a job in financial services, selling payroll and credit card processing, business to business, where I got to watch these two really great, talented entrepreneurs build this massive business. And, you know, they mentored me basically because they saw how bad I wanted to learn. Like I was in there early in the morning, right when they walked in, to the minute when they were gone. You know, like they would give me a ride home, but really it was because like I would not leave them alone. They're like, all right, if I don't leave now, like we're just going to be here all day.
Totally.
So yeah, I learned how to sell B2B and then moved out here to California, got sober, and you know, within a year of being sober, had moved here to San Diego and started my business.
What year did you move to San Diego?
2017.
And you were, how old were you?
30 or 23, 24.
Okay, cool. Were you like drinking and partying and stuff in high school? Is that kind of why
Yeah, I mean, in high school, like not really towards the end. I didn't drink till I was like 16, 17. But yeah, man, we went hard, went super hard.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, we just partied, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it was, you know, growing up, I always thought that I was going to go play like professional baseball or football or something. And then, you know, when that didn't happen and, you know, I just kind of messed up in high school and wasn't paying attention and was just lack of discipline and, you know, just started partying. Like,
Right.
hey, well, I'm not going to go play sports, so, you know, I'm just going to party.
Right.
And we're sort of fed this as teenagers in these movies that we watch, right? You watch movies like, at the time, Superbad, right? And Superbad's a great movie, but it's those Superbad, old school, like those movies that sort of tell you like, hey, when you turn 18, you should be getting fucked up and being like the life of the party and doing all this kind of stuff. And that's kind of what I thought I was obligated to do. Oh, I'm going to go out and party and I'm just going to be the best at partying. And I was, man. I was at every party. Like it was crazy,
Yeah.
you know?
I'm right there with you. Yeah, American Pie, all those,
Yeah.
like Not Another Teen Movie. Yeah, a lot of those. We're the same age, right? 34?
I'm 30. I'll be 32 in November.
Oh,
so I'm
cool.
31.
Okay, yeah, 35 this month.
Yeah. Close enough, though.
Yeah, I mean, still the same movies that we grew up with. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I mean, that was definitely me growing up. I think I started drinking a little bit earlier than that, but definitely got myself into some trouble and, you know, smoking weed at school and doing things that I wasn't supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how you can go down those paths. Like for you getting sober, I'm sure there's probably like a few things that happen where you're like, shit, like this has to stop.
Yeah, you'd think so. I mean, you know, when you're young, you feel like you're invincible.
Of course.
Right? So I think I felt a lot of the times like it wasn't until I had a couple friends die, you know, once you start seeing like people that are like you, same age, same like, oh, dude, you know, damn, this is real, you know? But for a while, I didn't really feel real. I felt invincible.
Right.
And I think that it really took me a lot of time to open my eyes and realize, like, oh man, if I don't stop drinking, like, this is going to get progressively worse and worse and worse. Because they say when you drink alcohol, it starts out and it's all fun. And then it's fun with a little bit of problems. And then that scale sort of goes to the other end and tips over because it becomes almost all problems and no fun. And at that point, if you don't open your eyes and go, dude, 99% of this is terrible. Why am I still doing it?
Right.
You know? So yeah, I eventually hit that limit and called it quits.
Were you in Boston when you initially quit?
Yeah.
Or, well, you've been sober for 6 years, so that means you weren't in San Diego first.
Yep. I was in Boston. So when I was 23 is when I got sober, the summer of 2016. And I got sober, and literally it was like a no-brainer. Like, getting sober to me was like, yeah, without a doubt, I am done. And there is nothing that can possibly sway me from that. Never putting alcohol in my body again, ever. And it's crazy what happens when you remove negativity from your life.
Did you have to separate from all the friends and all the people that you were around during that time?
It happened naturally when I stopped drinking, right? Like, the real friends stayed.
Right.
And you'll realize this when you get sober. Like, if your friends are friends that you drink with, then most of those friends are not your friends. They're your drinking buddies. They're there when the alcohol is there, but they're not like there when you're in a crisis. I mean, they're there to drink with you, but they're not like, it's just not that kind of friendship. But there's a few friends that you'll bring along the way that when you get sober, maybe they'll get sober too. Like, I got sober with one of my buddies from Boston, and he's still sober to this day. But most of our mutual friends in Boston are still out doing the same stuff.
Right.
They're drinking, they're partying, they're committing crimes, they're doing, you know, like,
right.
just, I don't know. And it really made me realize, I've been thinking about this the last couple of days. People put off things, but really, like, when you know you have to do something, doing it right now is the only answer. Like, eating healthy or quitting drinking or stopping smoking or quitting your job and going and chasing your passion, whatever it is. Like, when I think about all the things that I did that completely transformed my life, that have helped me create success, right? It's because it's like, dude, if I didn't make those changes, my life would be so different. I'd, in fact, be in the same place I was, you know, so. Yeah,
I definitely had to make a change. I told you my story where I was doing all the drinking and partying and stuff, and definitely had to move away, cut off all the friends, and get myself out of those circles to where I could have went this direction and veered off a little bit more to where I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
Yeah.
If I would have kept it going.
Yeah.
So it is powerful, and you do have to just instant cut it off.
Yeah. Without a doubt. Yeah. But I mean, look, anything negative in your life, if you cut it out, better things are going to come. Like, you're spending your time doing negative things. When you cut that out, it's not like you're filling it with more negative things.
Right.
You're filling it with something positive,
right.
You know?
Speaking of positive things, you have a baby on the way, or
yes, sir.
Do you already have
in April.
April. Nice. That's exciting.
First one. Yeah.
Nice. And then buying a house too.
Yep.
That's exciting.
We're in escrow.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, you found a place.
Yeah, we're in escrow.
Oh, cool. Where is it?
In Santee.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, so there's a weird, so the house was owned by a guy, but the house is in a trust. Dad went to a memory care facility, passed away. Son has the house, but now there's like some legal drama. Somebody's trying to get somebody removed from the trust. And so there's a lien and a lawsuit against the trust. So it's in gridlock. So we can't close until that's done. So we're going through that, but you know, I'm unattached.
Yeah, that's good. I have a flip like that where we couldn't close on it until this title issue was fixed, which comes up in February, which is nice. But yeah, it happens.
Yeah, so I'm completely unattached because we've put offers on houses that we're like, oh my God, this is the one.
Right.
I'm super like, oh, if it's not this one, then I'm going to be just destroyed. And every time it's like, when you have that kind of energy, it just pushes it away.
Do you feel like that's more of your wife, or is that more on your side?
Being unattached?
Being unattached, yeah.
I think it's both of us.
Yeah.
I think she kind of mirrors me a lot of the time. So
good.
She looks at me like, okay, well, he's not bothered by it, so right. I'm not going to be either, you know?
Yeah. That's cool. So let's talk about we can talk about a few of the businesses. Cheapastleads.com. So you provide leads to, is it just realtors?
Yeah, it's just real estate agents.
Okay.
But I sold a majority of my shares, and my partner runs that company. I'm pretty much not involved anymore.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So what are you working on then?
The podcast, really.
The podcast, really?
Yeah.
That's it?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
That's fun, dude.
Yeah.
That's inspiring. This is like, I think, I feel like I missed some part of my life of like having some creativity, right?
Yeah.
Like businesses and stuff, it's fun to build. But at the end of the day, like this, like sitting in a room and shooting the shit, having conversations and meeting different people from different places of life that are doing different things and having different stories. It's the funnest part of this.
Right.
So that's great, dude. How many episodes are you in right now?
Carlos, what are we at?
47.
Yeah.
That's great, dude.
47. And we got a couple big ones planned coming up. I got a former CIA agent who outed the CIA torture program.
No way.
And John Kirikow, he's coming on.
Okay.
Bradley will be on. We're working on a couple big ones. So
Nice, man. And then you got you've had a few decent people. Are you guys traveling too?
Yeah, when we had Billy McFarland from Fire Festival, we traveled. Yeah. That was a good one. What were your favorite ones, Carlos?
Probably Freeway Rick Ross.
Oh, yeah, we had Freeway Rick Ross, one of the biggest drug dealers in the country at one point.
I saw his interview with a few people, and his story is always very interesting. When I was young, obviously, like in smoking weed and all that kind of stuff. So the stories of people like selling drugs from back in the day, I'm like, oh, it's kind of like interesting. The underground stuff. What went on and what people really make with selling drugs.
Yeah.
And you see some of these people who were doing it. Even like Wes Watson, like his drug story and him selling drugs is a crazy story of how much money that they were making and bringing in back then.
Yeah.
But obviously, Freeway. Ricky, he was doing cocaine, right?
Yeah, he was selling cocaine. He was basically the fall guy for the CIA to sell cocaine. Like that's really what it comes down to. And if you watch the interview with him, I kind of press him on it a little bit, and he watch the interview and you'll see. But
yeah. Go to Think Bigger.
It's
Thinking Bigger
with Kevin Pheley.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but that was a good one. And just interviewing a lot of people like in the space. Like I want to see different perspectives from that. Mm-hmm. So he talked about Gary Webb. Gary Webb was a journalist that brought up Freeway Ricky's story when Freeway was in prison. Mm-hmm. And Gary Webb basically outed the CIA for transporting and selling cocaine and kicking off the cocaine epidemic, and he shot himself in the back of the head twice. So
wait, how do you shoot yourself in the back of the head?
Somebody else does it.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so I asked him about that. I'm like, so do you think the CIA killed him? And you can see the interview. But yeah.
That's crazy, dude. That's exciting. How are you monetizing the podcast?
I'm investing a bunch of money into it, and I'm getting nothing back yet.
Sure,
so,
yeah.
It's a long-term play.
Yeah.
When you look at any content creator that's blown up, it's taken them like 10 years. So
yeah.
I think it can happen a lot faster with strategy, but I'm focused on doing this no matter what. I'm committed to it. I got Carlos working on everything, and we got a couple other editors and stuff, and the studio in the office, and
it's awesome.
Yeah.
So, what is your strategy?
Try to leverage other people's brands, right? Mm-hmm. That's always, that's why podcasts work, right? Like your audience will see me, my audience will see you, and vice versa. So trying to interview bigger people and be on bigger shows and share my stories, share other people's stories, and create good content that people are going to want to consume. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, build a brand that focuses on helping people think bigger, right?
Yeah.
So my mission is to empower over 1 billion people to reach their highest potential. And when you think about that, it seems like such a big goal, and it is. Mm-hmm. But if this podcast that we do helps empower 5 people, and then they go empower 5 people who can go empower 5 people, like that can spread pretty quickly. So,
that's awesome. Have you considered doing any type of mentorship or anything like that?
Like to other people or
like one-on-one or group mentorship?
Maybe. I just don't want to be like the course selling guy, you know? Not yet. I'll probably do a mastermind or something, but right now I'm trying to focus on just one thing, which is putting content out,
That's good, man.
Yeah.
Are you doing, what's going on with the agency? Are you doing anything with
Which
that?
one? With Cheap Ass Leads?
No, the other one.
The staffing company?
Yes.
Yeah, so I own a company called Lazy Cow Staffing where we place virtual assistants with businesses. So if they have phone calls that need to be done, data entry, CRM management, whatever, personal assistant tasks. We will hire, train, and place somebody for them. So it's funny because we created that company because our customers, real estate agents, saw that we had virtual assistants, and they're like, oh man, I need a virtual assistant. Can you help me? And we had this whole internal process for hiring virtual assistants because we did it so often, right? And we have like 35 people that work for us that are in the Philippines, you know? So based on the systems that we had for hiring, because we got it dialed in, because we did it so much, we just started selling that to the people that were asking for it. So I don't really promote it. We do, you know, a good amount of deals per month, but they just come off referral or from customers that say, hey, like, can you help me get a VA?
Yeah, I saw that on your website. It was interesting. We use multiple VA companies for different things in our business with the flipping side.
Yeah.
But it's amazing help. And I think our hourly is like maybe $5 to $6 an hour.
Yep.
Which is crazy. But a lot of these people are very educated.
Dude, I mean, corporately trained too, right? So
Yeah.
like a lot of people come from the BPO industry, which is business process outsourcing. So Google will hire a third-party company to handle tech support or something. And, you know, these guys get phenomenal training, but they get paid like crap. You know, they get paid $2-3 an hour. So we start people at like $5 or $6 an hour, and then, you know, sometimes more depending on what they're doing. But that over there is really good, you know, and some of our VAs are making thousands per month, you know, and over there that's like doctor money. So
Right. No, that's great. I think it's awesome too, employing. As much as I would like to hire people in the States, it's still, I feel like I'm supporting other people too with having, because out there I can have 6 employees that are VAs versus here it's one. But it doesn't necessarily need to be in person because it's really challenging to find people who are really good at working at home.
Yeah, right. Well, and Filipino culture is very honest. Their culture is extremely honest, extremely hardworking, and dedicated. And look, when they've been treated like shit by employers who don't value them, who see them as this disposable commodity, and when you start treating them like an actual human being and you get to know their birthday and their family and like give them bonuses based off, you know, performance incentives, they don't want to go anywhere else because there isn't a better opportunity for them. So either they work remote for somebody who may or may not pay them, right? Or they work remote for you, or they go get on a bus and, you know, have to go 2 hours each way to work each day to make half the amount that they would.
Yeah.
You know, so the virtual assistants that we have in our business are phenomenal, and they don't leave, you know, because we treat them well and they do great work. And yeah.
That's awesome, man. And I saw too, you invest in other companies?
Yeah, so I do some consulting for equity and sometimes investing in businesses, but mostly consulting for equity. So if a business comes to me and they're like, hey, we want help with our marketing, we want help with this, they can either pay my company to do consulting for them or to do paid ads or whatever it is. Or I will literally, when it's the right business, I'll either invest into it or I'll do consulting for equity.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So you can basically take like cheapest lead. You can take the cheapest leads, and you can take your other, the other company, the staffing company.
Yep.
Put it together, and you're like, hey, here's a package, but it's not just for like real estate agents. You can do it for actual businesses, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So I went really heavy on the auto detailing niche for a while, and invested in a lot of businesses, cash, and a lot of my time too. And you know, I have not completely figured it out, to be honest. I'm still figuring out how to properly do that. I got screwed over a couple times and lost a lot of money, and you know, just learning along the way. So, you know, I would love to sit here and say I'm some like master investor in businesses, and I've had some good wins, and some the wins probably outweigh the losses, but I'm just not at a point where I'm willing to dump that much time and energy into that because focusing on the content.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. What are the big goals? Do you have like a number goal in terms of how many episodes you guys would like to do this year?
No, we just want to see that growth constantly going up, right? And it is. So that's really what we're focused on. And then we're just, you know, we have meetings every couple of days where we sort of talk about where we're heading, you know, what's working in the videos, what's not working, and what's next, right? These platforms are constantly changing. So you have to stay ahead of the curve and understand how they work and how people are psychologically consuming content. So how does somebody consume content on TikTok versus long form YouTube, right? So,
Yeah. Have you, do you know Sam Sulik?
yes, you posted a video of him last night, the leg day.
Yeah. So his stuff, and I feel like this is the way of like the future is, and for anyone listening, we're talking about content. So if you're not interested, click away. Skip ahead. Yeah. But it's interesting. His videos are like 45 minutes, right? Like 45 minutes raw, like raw.
Yeah, no editing. Right?
No editing at all.
Just him walking through the store and doing stuff like that.
Yeah. And dude, he is one of like those sensations who has grown so freaking fast.
Yeah.
And people are super fans of this guy.
Yep.
And there's not anything crazy special. I mean, he's a freak in terms of like what he looks like. Like his physique
Which helps,
is crazy.
right? That's a pattern interrupt on its own.
It does, yeah. But he's not like a, super handsome guy that like a bunch of people would want to watch. He's just a super raw, entertaining guy.
Yep.
Who doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And I think where content's going is just completely natural. Like where it's just natural conversations. I mean, podcasts are natural, but like I'm talking like fully natural where we're just like outside shooting the shit and someone's videotaping you just walking around.
Dude, I mean, that people gravitate towards real, right?
Yeah.
And when you look at, and this comes down to like an advertising perspective too. So back in the day, advertising that we would see is like an infomercial, right? Come buy now, blah, blah, blah. Like all this fake shit of like, hurry up and buy now because this is we got Jenny calling in and Jenny's a happy customer. All this fake, obviously fake stuff, right? Well, people sort of click away from that and they really like when we run ads, we can sit and shoot production style ads, but they convert less than if I just pull up my phone. Hey, what's going on? My name's Kevin Pheley. I own XYZ company. If you have this problem, this is how we solve it. If you're interested, book a call. And that's it. And we get tons of leads that way.
Yeah.
And it takes 5 minutes to put up a new ad, literally from start to finish. You got the content produced and no script, no nothing. Just, that's what works. And I think in the content, like when you see AI and you see all of these different tools that are being implemented, like voice AI and deep fakes and stuff, a lot of people are creating these faceless YouTube channels. But the problem is, if you go through YouTube and you start clicking on videos, it's almost now getting rare to hear a natural voice because there's so many of those faceless YouTube channels that have done well. But guess what? Now I find myself, anytime I hear that it's not a real voice, which now you can kind of pick up on it right away,
Swipe.
click away. I don't want to hear that. I want real. I want raw. What people are craving is a conversation with another human being without actually having one. That's what it is, I think.
Yeah.
Which is why people love podcasts.
100%. And the selfie style videos, I saw you've been starting to do those more and more, which is completely natural, unscripted. We've been talking shit a little bit.
Yeah, I'll talk shit all day.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, it's important. I think there's a lot of times where I think controversy sells.
Yeah.
I think people love the negativity, right? Real Housewives and all these stupid shows that my wife watches all the time that I'm stuck at watching. I'm like watching the screen and I'm like, why am I watching this right now when they're screaming at each other about dumb shit?
Yeah.
But that's what people want.
Yeah.
Like it's weird. It's value. Personally, I like watching value stuff, but I find myself intrigued with the weird stuff.
Well, let's just go with two different sentences, right? Hey, it's a beautiful day outside.
Right.
Right? Hey, there's a guy with a gun outside. Which one are you going to focus on more,
100%,
right?
Yeah.
Or even if I said, hey, it's a beautiful day outside, or hey, it's thundering outside. Your brain goes into two different places because it's survival mode, right? Like your brain is constantly looking for things that could kill you because that's survival. It's how we have evolved as a species. So when you look at the media and news, right? If the news was just reporting on good stuff, they would never have people watching because why watch? Everything's fine. There's no news you need to get.
Right.
But if there's constantly something that's going to threaten your safety and your survival, you're going to be hooked on that. And then you're going to watch ads for Pfizer and Moderna and, Kroger and whatever,
Right. Yeah, my wife watches the news in the morning, and it's always like, well, the past year, it's been a fluctuation of what's going on with our economy.
Yeah.
But I'll like listen for a second. They're like, yeah, the market's tanking today, blah, 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 blah. And I look, and I'm like, we're not even down like 0.5% or 0.25%.
Yeah.
We're like 0.1%.
Right.
And I'm like,
Right.
it's just, but it sells, right? The negative push, the negative hook is what gets people to like, okay, what's happening?
Yeah.
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 So.
It's a survival instinct, and when you look at when you're posting content, unfortunately, it's the negative, scary, dark kind of content that really does well. Like, you have like inspirational, positive stuff that does well, but what does way better is like true crime, like the Freeway Ricky podcast versus. I mean, we've had podcasts that are 1,000 times more valuable, but people don't watch it because
Right, they don't give a shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they want the like spooky kind of hidden, dark stuff.
And it's weird because they don't give a shit about the person either. It's
No.
the story, right?
Well, nobody cares about other people. Our most important thing in the world is ourselves. We focus on content because we get something out of it. Even down to like when somebody gives money to a homeless person, they're doing it because it makes them feel good. It's not the homeless person,
Right.
Yeah.
It's a weird concept. Like, how do you're fulfilling yourself, but are you fulfilling other people at the same time? I don't know,
Yeah.
Like, it's a weird thing to think about.
Yeah, I was actually just talking to his brother Donald, who was my first employee, who now has his own agency that's doing really, really well. And we were talking about religion and about just like doing the right thing. And I asked him, I'm like, can you name one thing in the world that's not selfish? Like, name something in the world that is truly selfless. There's not many things that aren't. Like, can you name one?
I don't think so.
I mean, you have kids, right?
No, I don't have kids.
You don't have kids.
No,
Okay,
I just
sorry.
got married. Yeah.
So like, that the one thing that I think is like there's a selfless love of your kids, but it's because you want something for them because that makes you feel like a good parent. You know what I mean? Like, I really think that, and again, it's a survival instinct
Right.
deep down, but yeah, I don't know.
Maybe animals? Like, I was thinking about like because I have a
dogs?
dog.
Yeah.
So like I could think that I'm like that maybe with my dog, where I
Yep.
feel selfless, because there's not really making him happy in a sense. Well, it is making him happy, but making him happy does make me feel happy too. So technically, it wouldn't be selfless.
Yeah, I mean, would you be happy giving away your dog if he
No.
was going to be happier?
No.
But he'd be happier.
I know.
So that would be the selfless thing to do. But
Right.
you won't do it because it makes you feel good, which is fine. Dogs just want to
Right.
love us.
Of course.
Right? So dogs, I think, are truly selfless.
Yeah.
But human beings are completely selfish. Again, survival,
It's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
What do you think? Are you religious?
I wouldn't say religious, but I would say that I believe in God. And,
Okay.
dude, when I got sober, we can kind of dive a little into that, but I had so many things that happened that was like, I was an atheist growing up, My mother comes from an Irish Catholic family. My father is an atheist. So, there was never any like one thing taught in my house.
Sure.
It was kind of like, hey, believe what you want to believe,
Right.
whatever. But yeah, I mean, I believe in God. Yeah, but I'm not like religious.
I know what you mean.
I think that I'm leaning like towards Christianity, but I'm not. I don't know. I just hate organized religion because of all the corruption that's in it. I think that takes away from what's really out there.
So I was going to ask you, do you feel, I'm sure you follow people who are maybe big, let's say gurus on the internet or influencers who push religion or beliefs.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's kind of like weird in a sense?
I mean, it depends on if they're pushing it or if they're just sharing, right? Because
Right.
if you're sharing your beliefs, that's one thing. But if you're trying to force it on somebody, then I don't know what good that's going to do. Forcing things on people never works well.
I don't know about forcing it, but creating more of like, I think with religion, I was raised as a Christian. Technically, of course, like I think I believe in God. Haven't gone to church in years or anything like that. But you just nowadays you see, and with politics too, you see a lot of people very openly talking about religion, politics, all these things that we were always taught not to talk about.
Right.
Which sometimes can come off in a very weird way if you're selling programs online or
Yeah.
selling something online to create some type of cultish following that's
Right.
through a belief system. if that
Yeah.
makes sense. I was trying to
Yeah.
say that in like the most politically correct way possible.
I mean, say it how you want,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like,
Well, I mean, it could be taken different ways. So I just was trying to explain it in a way to where if someone was not pushing their values, but like really openly talking about things when it just can come off a little
yeah.
weird.
I would say that if you look at a majority of what comes out of Hollywood, it's all satanic, dark, evil shit that is being pushed on people, right? Like, the reason why the music industry plays this stuff is because it's looping and it's getting into your subconscious mind.
Right.
And that will eventually lead you to make decisions down the road, which is why they go after younger kids to listen to this kind of music, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's an agenda being pushed there, and I think it's really, really dark, and that's being pushed, right? I mean, look at Hollywood and look at all of this. Like, again, like growing up, I didn't believe in any of this stuff. I didn't think God was real. I didn't think the devil was real. I thought when we died, we just die, it goes black, and that's it. But I don't know. I just always like, well, Hollywood, obviously, like, there's something dark going on there.
Right.
You know, there's something there.
Like they're trying to push something on us.
Yeah, which made me realize, like, okay, if there's so much money and power and influence behind this, maybe it's real. Like, maybe I should kind of, that was one of the things that kind of opened my eyes to God. And yeah, but I think that there's people like these mega church pastors, like who's that one dude who, if I've ever seen a human being who's a demon, it's this guy. But not Joel Osteen, but the other one, the older guy. There's this old pastor of this mega church, and there was this woman who confronted him about buying a private jet. And this guy, I swear, if you've ever seen a demon inside a human, that is one right there. Let me look this up real quick. It's gonna bug me. Yes, Kenneth Copeland.
There
Thank
we
you.
go.
I appreciate it. Yeah, Kenneth Copeland. I don't know. Maybe you can pull the clip up, or maybe somebody can go look it up. But yeah, that's a side of pushing religion where it's manipulative, right? They're running these seminars, which is basically, they're running a webinar to get people to give them money, right? And you find these guys, these pastors that are driving Rolls Royces and flying on private jets, and if you're doing speaking engagements around the country, I guess I kind of see where the private jet comes in, because I mean, you're already not paying taxes, but so maybe it's not a tax deduction, but getting from
point A to point B.
Yeah, but like, you don't have to ride around in a Rolls Royce. Like, no. I don't know. You don't have to have a $10,000 suit on. Like, if you're really about doing better things, you would spend that money on other things. I mean, a Rolls Royce new one is $500,000, $600,000, $1 million, depending on what you get. A jet is like $60 million. So, could you have gotten a cheaper jet? Like, I just think that those guys are full of shit, and they're taking advantage of people who have a fear, which is going to hell, and they just want to avoid that at all cost. So that's what I don't like about religion. I think God is unconditional love. There's a reason why God and dog, right? Dog is spelled backwards, but dogs love you to death. They love you with everything, and there's no judgment. Like, that's what I think God is, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I was just curious on what your thoughts were, because it was something that I've always thought about, and I know you're very open and will say whatever the fuck you want. So
yeah, I mean, why hide it, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So when you were going through, you were talking about your sober thing.
Yeah.
When you're going through, well, not thing, when you're going through being sober, religion, how did that? Were you going to the AA meetings? Because I know a lot of times they pray. And
yeah, I think AA is great for somebody who's just getting sober, but I just posted something that actually got a pretty good amount of attention, because I said, I'm not a alcoholic. I'm not recovering. I'm recovered. Like, I've been sober for 7 years, 8 years this summer. I'm not recovering. Like, I'm sure. Could I fall into a relapse or something? Absolutely. But I haven't gone to an AA meeting in like 5 years. I think that they, again, just like the music industry, producing satanic stuff in their songs and looping it so it gets into your subconscious. What's the first thing you say at an AA meeting? Hi, my name's Kevin. I'm an alcoholic, right? Which I understand it. And look, if it works for somebody else, I'm not going to stop you from doing what's working. But for me, I think that that's setting yourself up for failure. There's a reason why a lot of people relapse in AA, because you get up there and you literally treat your brain into, you trick your brain into thinking like you're going to have a relapse. You're, the one thing you have to talk about is, oh, I'm completely like, I have no power over this. I'm completely a victim to alcohol. And I don't know. I think that people are a lot stronger than that. And
they should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should be. But it's tough. I mean, everyone has different willpowers, personality types. I'll admit something. I just will and power. I was going to do a water fast.
Okay.
At the start of the year.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've probably seen a bunch of people talking about it. Gary Brecka was talking about it.
Yeah, Dana White.
Did
like a 64-hour one is the
96.
Popular? Oh, my
yeah.
gosh.
Dude, he was so shredded afterwards.
Yeah.
I just talked about it the other day on a different podcast. And Monday, obviously New Year's, woke up New Year's, so I was going to start Tuesday, and then it would have ended this morning.
Uh-huh.
Like not having coffee, so you can't.
Oh, you can't even have coffee.
I don't think you can have coffee. So
I mean, it's black coffee is 0 calories.
So maybe you can have black coffee, but I didn't.
Uh-huh.
So on Tuesday I started, but dude, it's the start of the year, and I'm making excuses for myself. But it was probably one of the hardest. Like I did it until almost 1 o'clock,
right?
And I had so much shit on my plate, and I felt like a failure from just saying, "Fuck it, I can't do it."
Yeah.
But I've seen so many benefits from being able to do it. So I'm going to try it.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where certain people they have the willpower more than others. And food and my mental sanity was,
It comes down to your why, right? And again, it's a major survival instinct. So you see there's a common theme here of like human beings just want to stay alive. And that's, but like with alcohol, like for me, I got arrested. I fought with a bunch of cops. I kicked up a storm going into the jail. Like I remember 0 of it, and I woke up like facing crazy charges, like aggravated assault on a police officer, like prison time, you know? So when you wake up in a jail cell with no recollection and you feel like somebody else did that to you, you feel like it wasn't even your actions, because I would never do anything like that ever. But with alcohol, apparently I will, So my why for not drinking was like, dude, I never want to, 1, feel that out of control, but 2, put myself in a situation where I put other people at risk. What if I had hit one of those cops and so many bad things could happen that it could have been so much worse. And when I look back, I mean, dude, I one time got jumped and almost died. Like, I'll show you the picture. I literally almost died, and the doctor.
No way.
Yeah, and again, woke up in the hospital.
Was this Boston?
This was in Oregon. I'll show you the picture. Maybe you can put it up on there. But so many situations happen like that where, it just kept getting worse. And it's like, okay, follow the formula.
Right.
If this was bad, and then the next time was worse, and the next time was worse, and worse things happen. Well, what's next? I don't ever want to be in a position that's worse than that. But
Jesus, bro, your eyes not even open.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I couldn't open my eyes for.
You can point it at the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I feel like with drinking, there's definitely been some times where I've gotten into trouble. Never arrested or anything to where it's been like that. I think when I was younger, it was definitely a problem that I just never wanted to admit. But as I get older, I think just mature, get married. A lot of things just that shit can't happen.
Yeah.
But I definitely still drink. But I'm sure like you don't care whoever, like other people can do whatever.
I go out with my friends all the time.
Yeah.
Like I have there is 0 chance. I've never been more confident about anything in my life.
It's great, dude.
There's 0 chance that I will ever drink again.
Yeah,
it just won't. You'll have to kill me. It won't happen.
That's
you
great.
know. So yeah.
Nice. That's awesome, man. Any big goals that you have for the next few years?
Just
Kids?
the content. Yeah, I mean, I got a kid coming, so that's another reason why I'm kind of slowing my focuses. The business is still running itself. It's paying all my bills. It's paying for all the content.
Good.
Living pretty good from the work that I put in years ago. But yeah, just focusing on the content and, again, when your focus gets diluted and you start focusing on too many things at once, it makes them a lot less powerful, right? So, when I built Cheap Ass Leads originally, like that's all I was doing. You couldn't talk to me about anything else. It's all I was focused on.
Yeah.
And, once that was kind of on its own, and again, out of survival mode where all the bills are paid, I no longer have to worry about like hustling to pay my rent and the office rent, making payroll and all that. When that goes away, you get a little comfortable and you kind of lose that drive, you know? So I think I lost a little bit of that drive, and then I tried to focus on too many things at once. And I realized, like, you know, this podcast is never going to blow up if I'm also trying to dump in all this time and energy on another agency, because I have another agency called WeHuntClients.com. And it does okay, you know, nothing big, but, you know, and I made the cardinal sin of entrepreneurship of starting another business, which is an auto detailing company. And, you know, it would have done really well if we committed to it. But, you know, I started a coffee company. I realized, like, man, if I don't stop wasting time starting these things, that any one of them would be amazing if I dumped in all my energy. But because I'm not dumping in all my energy, it's not going anywhere. So just made that decision that the podcast is what we're doing. I'm focusing on getting bigger guests, focusing on producing better content and getting better equipment, and that's my goal.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I definitely agree with you, though. It's really hard to do. Like, I wouldn't be able to do this if I didn't have employees and people helping me on the back end with flips and with things like that. Like, we're closing on 2 deals next week. I have to remove contingencies today.
Dude, let's go.
So I'm like, yeah, well, 7 in the pipeline right now. So we have a lot, yeah.
Killing it.
Yeah.
Good for you, bro.
Goal's 48 this year.
Let's get it.
I know. So it's scary big goal. But I wouldn't be able to do this. So that's why I'm dedicating like only Fridays for podcast stuff. So I don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
So it's just like this day is the day I can focus on doing this and hanging out and being present, and then be able to focus on the actual business on the other days, because it's just, you can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's too many things in the fire just causes chaos. And then you're sacrificing other businesses or other things and putting it to the wayside.
Yeah.
So you can just grow one successful company and not 10 half-ass companies.
Yeah. And I mean, Alex Hormozy, I was listening to a podcast with him last night. And one thing he says is, like, you know, the best entrepreneurs say no the most, right? Because you get, you know, let's say you're making $100,000 a month. That's great. But if another $100,000 a month opportunity comes up, you know, if you say no to that, you're probably going to do better than if you say yes. If you just keep focusing on building the one thing. Yeah. You know, so like with your home flipping business or investing business, like, you know, if you focus on all of that, like if you spent 50% of your time on the podcast and 50% of your time on that, neither of them would do that well, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, totally agree. Cool, man. Well, I appreciate you coming on.
Dude, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And the studio is sick, dude. I really like it.
This place is awesome. Yeah, they rent this place from the brokerage, so they're in-house for them.
Nice.
So Alfred's been doing both of them have been doing all my stuff forever. So
nice.
Yeah, it's been great.
Cool. Dude, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Yep.
Nice
appreciate
walk,
you.
by the way.